Well, famous last words, but I think I can keep it short this time. Let's get going. I'll see you on the other side. Well, hello, and welcome to episode 75 of Gary Knits, Gary Rides, a Craftivism podcast at the intersection of making things and doing good. My name is Gary. I'm a knitter and a crocheter, and every so often I come to this little corner of YouTube to show you what I have been working on and to share some ideas on how we can all take our love of crafting and do a little bit of good in the world. You can find me on social medias as Gary Knits over on Bluesky and on Ravelry as Gary Knits and Rides. I think that's it. If you have not done so yet, please feel free to subscribe and like this episode. It continues to help grow the thing. I hope you're doing well. I hope that spring, even if it is a false spring, has found you wherever you are in, at least in the northern hemisphere. I know that some folks, especially on the East Coast, who have had some rough weather over the last month or so, finally got a little taste of spring. We had our taste of summer because it hit almost 90 degrees here the other day. But I hope you're having lovely weather wherever you are. It has been a busy couple weeks. I said last time, because I did this just at the end of February, I was probably going to try to do it early in the month. I guess I did that sort of, but I quickly realized that I had to get this done today because the rest of this month becomes completely nuts, and I don't know where I would have a couple of hours to film this and a couple more hours to edit it. So we're just going to get it done and then plow on through until April, which I can't even believe is right around the corner. Like I said, it's been a nice couple of weeks after all the travel in February to kind of get back into schedule. With the warmer weather here, I planted our garden, or as I like to call it, the salad bar for the rabbits. They have not discovered it yet, so fingers crossed that this year we'll actually be able to harvest a tomato or a jalapeno pepper or something. But we reworked some access to water in the raised bed that we have for the garden, so I think it's going to make it easier for us to keep it. And so far so good. So I've been planting and watering and all that stuff, and hopefully in the next couple months we'll have something to show for it other than just little stubs of plants where the rabbits have had their dinner. The other thing that's been going on is the Indian Wells tennis tournament. We did not go, but it's out here in the desert. But we don't have cable TV, so we generally have to scramble around every time there's one of the Grand Slam tennis tournaments to try to figure out what little monthly subscription we can do to gain access to it. So my husband's birthday, and he's the big tennis fan. I'm sort of a junior tennis fan, but he's the big tennis fan. His birthday's coming up, and so this year I decided I would give him a subscription to the tennis channel, which then gets us access to be able to stream a lot more tennis than we're used to watching. So tennis has been a regular feature here the last week or so. They're in the quarterfinals today, I think, of the Indian Wells tournament, and so that's been a lot of fun. And the other thing that I talked about at the beginning of the year that I wanted to start doing, but just hadn't gotten around to it, is I started baking some bread. So my plan was to go through. We have plenty of bread cookbooks in the house because my husband likes to bake. But I took a book, James Morton, called Brilliant Bread. He was a British Bake Off guy, and so I just said I'm going to kind of go through it, and I made the first recipe in there, and it turned out great. And then last night I was cooking something that I thought pita bread would go well with, and I tried the recipe for pita bread, and it was an absolute fail. I don't know what I did. I was kind of rushed, so maybe I didn't let it rise properly, or I may have over worked it in as I was trying to create the little pitas, because it did not puff up at all, and was barely edible. So plus one, minus one on the bread. But been getting back into my normal schedule, which has made a little less time than usual for not so much knitting, but for social knitting. I've had to miss some of my knitting groups in the last few weeks. Also, we've had the car in the shop twice in the last couple weeks, so that's limited my ability to get around to some of those things. But I'm hoping, that will all get sorted out here in the foreseeable future. But I have finished a couple things and have not yet started anything new to take up the slack. If you'll remember, before the end of the year, my friend Nancy, who hosts or co-hosts the Knitting in the Northwest podcast, did one of her big cast-on parties, and I went a little overboard in terms of my normal amount of projects that I like to have going and cast on a bunch of stuff. So I'm kind of working through that, and so I haven't started anything just yet because I want to finish a couple more things before I refill the well in terms of WIP projects. So we'll talk about that and some of the FOs that I still have going on. I can show some progress on some of the ones I didn't show last time and won't show some of the other ones. So, but before we get into any of that and before we get into Craftivism, we had a giveaway last episode. So last episode I asked everyone, we were coming off the Olympics, what their favorite thing to watch during the Olympics was, and the winner of this beautiful skein of Desert Panda Fiber Arts worsted in the Born This Way Organized Chaos colorway is Dorel 2625. So Dorel, I will get this in the mail to you. I believe I have your address. If not, I know how to get in touch with you, and I will reach out to you. And Dorel said that her favorite thing to watch on the Olympics was curling, which I completely, wholeheartedly agree with. I got to watch a little bit of a lot of things this time, and I always love watching curling, even though I could not explain to you what it is. I think she described it as like marbles on ice, which is a pretty good description. But I feel like every time I watch it, I need a primer on like what the exact rules are, not just like shuffleboarding something down and knocking people's things out. It was kind of how I played shuffleboard and croquet. So it's in my mind, that's just what you're trying to do, is just knock your opponent's stone out of the circle, but I know there's more to it than that. So congratulations to Rel. We're going to have another giveaway this episode. We're going to continue to give things away until we run out of prizes in the prize pile. And so this time what I have is one of the yarns from the Stitch Out Loud collection that I curated a couple years ago now. This was to raise money for AIDS Life Cycle in the last year that I was writing it. And this is the Otter Pop Disco colorway by Always Be Kind Yarn. And this is on the sparkle base. So there, I don't know if you can see it in there, but yeah, you can see there's some stellina in both the main color and the contrast for the heels and toes and cuffs. And fingering weight, and it is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 5% stellina. Did I say 70%? 70, 25, 5. That's 100. So if you would like to have your name in the mix to win this, why don't we say sparkle somewhere in your comments? And I can show you what this looks like knitted up. Can I? No, maybe not. I thought I had... Oh, I do. Sorry. Not with the sparkle, but the unsparkled version. This is what it looks like knitted up. And the name of it and the inspiration for it was on one of the days of AIDS Life Cycle, usually the hottest day, towards the late afternoon, one of the pit stops was this disco that had been set up by the bear community in San Francisco, and they served otter pops. And so they had the big dance floor and a DJ and a disco ball, and they were all dressed up in like tutus and whatnot. And it was just, after a really long, hot day, to like be kind of out there in the middle of nowhere in the Central Valley of California and have like a dance party with otter pops was fantastic. So that was the inspiration for Laura at Always Be Kind, who did this yarn for me. So comment below with sparkle in the comment, and we will put your name in the mix for the prize for next time around. So let's talk about Craftivism. One thing I wanted to mention, I mentioned it last time, is coming up on the 11th of April is Knit for Food. Link is down below to the main website, but again, let me know in the comments below, or let everyone who reads the comments know if you are participating in Knit for Food and what your team is, how they can find it, how they can sponsor you, and let's see if we can raise some money. The money is raised, I think it's been going on for 5 or 6 years now, for a number of different kind of food scarcity / hunger related charities. So I know World Central Kitchen is in there, Feed America, No Child Hungry, I think is one of them. But I think there's 4 charities that they raise money for each year, and each year it gets bigger and bigger. So let us know if you're participating and how we can support you. In terms of some other things that came across my feed in the last couple of weeks, and some of them are time sensitive in that they're happening in the next few days and are very localized. But on the 14th of March, so that is this Saturday, West End Woolies, which is a local yarn store in Hartford, Connecticut, is doing a Knit and Resist meetup in their store. So they're going to have I think working on some Melty Ice stuff. They have a bunch of different things going on in the store from 9 until 12. You can follow them at, and I'll put it up here. And I should mention that here is a QR code for everything that I'm going to mention today. Is going to be in the show notes with links. And if you're not watching this on your mobile device, you can just scan that QR code. It'll take you right to the Google Doc with that information. But anyway, West End Woolies is the yarn shop's Instagram handle. You can find all the details there, but that is coming up on the 14th. The next day, on the 15th, out here in Southern California, a group called Lucha Anaheim, and Lucha means fight in Spanish, but it stands for Laborers United in Community Health and Action. And it is a community defense and mutual aid hub based in Anaheim, but they're doing a Craftivism in the Park event at Pearson Park on the 15th at Lucha Anaheim. Here's their Instagram handle. All the information we found there, but I will also link to it down below. So if you're in the Orange County Disneyland area and you want to do some Craftivism in a group and community setting and learn more about what the folks at Lucha Anaheim are doing in terms of supporting their local community, go check it out. Let's see, what else? The Forbidden Quilt Project, which has been a project over the last year that is being organized by a woman, and I can't remember her name now. Her last name is Long, I believe. But it's Quilting in the Fog is her Instagram handle. And this project started, I think, early 2025, and all during 2025, they were collecting pieces for this quilt, and it was all around words and phrases that were being scratched out of the language from websites and museums and government documents and things like that. So a lot of it around gender affirming care and LGBTQ plus rights and civil liberties and DEI and all of that, the things that were being scrubbed from kind of the records of the U.S. government over the last couple of years. So they were collecting these blocks with these phrases on them from all over the country, and then late in 2025 they started piecing it together. Well, the quilt is now complete, and if you go to the Quilting in the Fog's Instagram handle, you can see kind of the process and how it developed. And there's some last few videos of them are like, finishing up the back of the quilt and putting the pieces all together. Well, they're going to start displaying it, and they're going to have the first public reveal of the quilt coming up on the 18th in San Francisco, and then again somewhere, I think also in the Bay Area on the 21st. So I think they're going to have additional events. Hopefully it'll somehow travel around the country so different folk, you can see it in different locations. But if you're interested, if you're in the Bay Area and you're interested in checking out the project and seeing the quilt in person, learning more about it, I will link down below to the locations and how you can find the quilt over the next week or so. And the last thing that I just saw it and I thought it was a cute, fun fundraising idea: the Columbus Women's Chorus, which is a non-auditioned feminist chorus in Columbus, Ohio, I believe, have within their group, they have a Craftivism club, and that club has gotten together over the past, I don't know how many months, and have made squares related to Craftivism. So there's like a Black Lives Matter and a Melt Ice and all different kind of squares with Craftivism related themes to them, and they've pieced them together to make a quilt, and they're auctioning off that quilt to raise money for the chorus. So it is Calls Women's Chorus. A link will be down below as well, but you can buy tickets for $10 a piece. I think 3 for $25 or 5 for $40 through May 1st to help raise some money for what seems like a super rad women's chorus in Columbus. So go check that out if you are a quilt fan and a women's chorus fan, or just a fan of raising money for great causes. I think that is it in terms of Craftivism. Again, I always say this: if you see something, say something. If something comes across your feed, please let me know. If it is not particularly time sensitive, even better, because then I don't have to try to rush to get it out, but I can try to promote it on a future episode and point some people in the direction. So let me know if you see something. I really appreciate it. Let's talk about knitting. Let's do FOs. So a couple of FOs I have. First, I think I showed this last time, but I finally finished. I think it was pretty close to finished last time. But one of my local knitting groups, the South Bay Drunken Knitters, one of the gals in the group we had done like a sock make along last year. There were several members of the group that had never made socks and were interested in trying, and so we all did a sock make along last year. And this year, someone suggested doing mosaic knitting. So everyone's working on different projects. So it just had to be mosaic. Could be anything. There's someone's working on socks. A couple of people are working on variations of the pressed flowers pattern. And I chose to do Samantha Guerin's grid gambit. So it's a bandana cowl, and I think, like I said, I think it was pretty close to being done last time, but I finally finished it up. Here it is. Sorry, I have light streaming in through the window because I'm filming at a different time than usual, so it's creating some weird shadows. But I'll put it on. I knit this in a mix of Treehouse Knits, which is the solid main color, in Lauren's Underworld colorway, which is from her Cocoa collection from a few years back. And then the contrasting color is a spin cycle dyed in the wool called Truth Bomb. And yeah, I think it looks great. So it's knit flat, very simple. Once you've done a pattern repeat or two, you will totally get it. But it's a really simple construction. It's knit flat, and then you seam it up in the back. And I didn't seam it up completely. Again, my friend Nancy from Knitting in the Northwest was doing another one of Samantha Guerin's projects, the flannel something. It's similar, and she said she found that if she didn't seam it up all the way, it allowed it to kind of lay a little flatter in the back, across the back of your neck, and it didn't kind of bunch up as much. So I'm not sure. I think she said only leave like an inch or so. So I may go back in and seam a little bit more, because I think I left more like 3 inches open there. But otherwise, I think it's really fun. I think I will get some wear out of it. It's sport weight, so it's relatively light. But I think in the cooler months here, this might be a nice little piece just to throw on under a under a light jacket and to wear out. And like I said, if you've never done mosaic before, I would highly recommend this as a first pattern, because once you get going, it goes very, very quickly, and especially fun, I think, if you have a color changing yarn like a spin cycle in there. You could even do it with a self striping. It would be a little more not dramatic, but clear cut the color changes. But yeah, that kept it interesting, and I was done in, if I'd been working on it solidly, I think I could probably finished it in a couple 3 days. So that is Grid Gambit by Samantha Guerin for the mosaic mal that the South Bay Drunken Knitters were doing. This is a day of make-along finishes. So the other one that I finished was something I started for the Yarniacs podcast self-indulgent knit-along. I had done my tea cozy, which I finished very quickly because it was done in like bulky weight yarn. It was done in just like a couple hours because it's also pretty small. But I started 3 projects for the self-indulgent knit-along, which can basically be anything, whatever self-indulgent means to you, and it runs from the solstice in December to the equinox in the spring. So it's coming up. The end of it's coming up relatively quickly, if not in the next week. So I don't think I'm going to finish the 3rd project that I started, but I did get 2 out of the 3, so not so bad. And this one was self-indulgent for me because it was brioche, which I always love working on, and it was 2 yarns that I had for a long time that I wanted to use together in a project, and so I did. So this is the Harlow worsted hat. It's brioche. And this is by Andrea Mowry, and I did it in the light color that you see on this side is Lola Bean Yarn Company. The City So Nice, they named it twice. And the contrasting color is a spin cycle called Color So Nice. And so this was a collaboration that Adela at Lola Bean did with the folks at Spin Cycle probably a couple years ago as well. With these 2 colors that were kind of paired together. I think they look great together. You don't really getting, at least it's not on the screen. I think when I turn it inside out, it'll be a little more clear. The color changing part of the spin cycle is not as obvious on this side. But I think that this side is the better looking of the 2 sides. So I enjoyed working on this because I love knitting brioche. I didn't love the final product. Here's the other side. So it is reversible, and there you can see a little bit of how the color changes down here. But you mainly got this, just the way that the yarn came out. Kind of this pink section, except at the very top it kind of moves into the pink and the green together. I didn't love the final project on this side, especially. I think the decreases at the crown look a little meh. Part of it is a me problem. The first couple of times I did it, I don't think I was snugging the yarn as much as I needed to, and so they're kind of a little loosey-goosey. But I think it's part of it is just the design, because you're taking, I want to say it's 5 or 6 stitches and combining them into one in like one fell swoop. And so there's just a lot going on in those decreases, and it's kind of tough to keep them neat. Although I think on this side, they look pretty good. So it very similar to another hat that I have that I like. So I'm probably not keeping this. I think it'll probably just go to Knit the Rainbow. I asked my sister if she wanted it, but she said, I already have a lot of hats. So I think that will go to Knit the Rainbow. So Harlow worsted. She also has the Harlow hat in another weight. I think it may be a fingering weight. But except for the decreases, it's just straight brioche ribbing. And while I was doing it, I was thinking, I've been wanting to do more cowls and stuff to send to knit the rainbow, and I was like, why don't I just do a bunch of brioche cowls, because I like doing the brioche, and it's kind of a fun way to see how different colors play together in a brioche pattern. So and then you can just do ribbing and then bind it off. So that may be coming soon to a to a whip near you. But there it is, Harlow hat. Love the yarn, and I have enough of it to do something else with. So maybe that will be a future cowl. I don't know if I have enough to do a whole cowl out of it, but I can play around with some scrappy brioche projects as well. And the last is not an FO, it's a HO. I finished the first of my pair of fruit gum stripe socks. This, and I don't, well, it'll be linked down below and it'll be shown here who the designer is. But I just love how this looks. It's so simple relative to the payoff and on what it looks like in the leg here. This little diamond pattern, which is just a series of increases and decreases, but it really works well with a self-striping yarn that has even stripes. And this yarn is Woolens and Nosh. It is called Summer by the Lake Remix, and I use the contrasting color that Michelle put in the set for the heels and the toes. This is a Fish Lips Kiss heel, and yeah, I'm very happy with the way it turned out. I have started the second sock. I've gotten through the ribbing and started on this pattern. I think I mentioned before, but this doing the patterning, especially on 9-inch circulars, which is what I was using, was a little fatiguing for my hand. It's something about the knit two togethers that you have to do in there that just kind of slows the process down. So it's not super fast knitting, and I can only do it, I can't do it for an extended period of time. Now the round and round at the bottom went very, very quickly. So I think I'm just going to take my time on the second sock. In the meantime, I want to start a pair of shorty socks. I've never knit a pair of shorty socks for myself, and I have plenty of the yarn left over from my husband's Jaws socks to make a pair of shorties for myself. And summer is approaching, and I'm not going to be able to wear my long, well, I guess I could, but I basically live in shorts during the during the summer months around here. So I could wear my high socks, striped socks with a pair of shorts, I suppose, but I think I would prefer to wear some shorty socks with the shorts. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to cast on 2 at a time, maybe the Rose City Rollers. Let me know if you have a favorite shorty sock pattern. Like I said, I've never done them before. For myself, I've done them for other people, and I think you can do kind of whatever heel you want. I think the ones I've done have always been heel flap and gusset, but I'm trying to think if there's any reason why I couldn't do a Fish Lips Kiss heel or a Shadow Wrap heel, and I really can't think of any reason why, so I may try that. So if you have any tips on that, let me know. But I think that's the plan, is just gonna keep that fruit stripe gum sock going, work on it here and there, but I'm hoping that a pair of shorty socks I can just kind of like knock out here relatively quickly. And because the yarn is already separated into 2 balls, because I did those Jaws socks for my husband 2 at a time, it's all ready to go. So I think it should be pretty portable and easy to go. So that's the plan. So that will probably be the next new cast on that I have. In terms of whips, I think last time I showed the Theo blanket from Tori Lipsy that I'm doing as one of my graduation blankets for a friend who's graduating from high school. This week, I kind of got bored. That has been my knitting during TV watching. So between the Olympics and the beginning of Indian Wells tennis tournament, we had subscribed to Peacock for the month to watch the Olympics, and so we had a few days at the end of that subscription before it ran out, and someone had recommended the Traitors to us. So we binged through 2 full seasons of the Traitors before our Peacock got canceled. So during the Traitors, during the Olympics, and a little bit during the tennis, I've been working on the Theo blanket, but it's gotten big. And I just was bored with doing that. So I had another graduation blanket that I needed to be working on before June or so, whenever graduations happen. And it's going to go quickly because it's bulky weight yarn, but I decided to get started on it. So here it is in its current form. It's called the Molly Waffle Blanket. It is also Tony Lipsy's pattern, TL Yarn Crafts. And it is just this really chunky, cozy. I think it's gonna be great for a kid to, either just wherever they are. It's just perfect for like cuddling up on the couch or on bed. So it's this waffle stitch with basically front post double crochets to create the texture, and it is color blocked. So it's kind of hard because I've only got 1 row of the second color in there, but it's kind of this, I would say dusty burgundy into this kind of like dusty rose color. And then it ends up in this kind of peachy pink. All of these yarns, and it was designed, it was very easy because the recipient, I showed them a picture of the pattern from Ravelry, and not only did they like the pattern, but they liked the colors it was in. So it was a very easy project for me to like source, because I was like, okay, I could just buy exactly almost like a kit. But all of the yarn is this Hue and Me. So it's a Lion Brand 2 of Wands collab, and it is, like I say, bulky weight, 80% acrylic, 20% wool, 100% machine washable, which we love for kids, so they don't shrink our blankets after we've made them for them. And like I said, there's 3 colors of it. Each kind of section takes, I think it was designed to take 1 ball. I did check gauge, and I was close, but I didn't like worry too much about it. And it took a little bit more than 1 ball for me to finish that first section. So I have some extra skeins, so I think that'll be fine. And if I have extra skeins, I'll just knit some hats with the balance. So 3 colors. This one is called Rosewater. The other one, the middle one, is called Love Song. This one, and then the top one is called Crush, I believe, that the kind of more burgundy colored. So it's going really quickly. Definitely TV work. It's there's nothing to it, and like I said, hopefully it is going to be pretty quick done. I'm gonna go back, I think tonight, if I get to do any crocheting tonight, go back to the Theo blanket, because I think I'm probably, if you remember that color blocked squares, I think I have kind of 1 more full repeat of all 4 colors with the borders in between to get to the size that I'm looking to do. So it's looking good, and then a border goes on it. So I think I'm in pretty good shape. Here we are mid March, and I've got 2.5 months to probably get those both done. So I feel pretty good about that. Once one of those is done, I think a bit of relief will be felt in terms of not having any real deadlines for anything. The other thing that I wanted to show this time, and it's been a couple episodes since I've shown it, is my butterfly field shawl. So this is a project that a bunch of us who were at Flock in Seattle this last August together decided to work on. We went around and got mini skeins from a bunch of our favorite dyers, and then 1 main color skein, and worked on this project from Stephanie Lofton, Tellybean Knits, called the Butterfly Fields. It's kind of a lacy pattern, and I've made a little bit more progress on it. So let me see if I can show it here. So here is where we are. So I kind of did it as this a little kind of fade-ish, but it kind of goes from this like pale purpley gray through some blues, into a dark gray and then an olive. I have 2 more mini skeins to do, and then it starts repeating in the reverse order. You don't go all the way back to the very beginning color, but I think you go maybe all but the last 3. So it's getting faster and faster because it's longer. You cast on the longest end, and then it just continues to shrink. So each successive my gosh, what the words today, section is getting shorter and shorter. My plan my goal was to try to do 1 section, so 1 color, 1 stripe every week, and then it would be done well ahead of the 1-year anniversary of the trip, and it'd have a little souvenir from Flock 2025. But I think, given how short these things are getting, I could probably get through a couple of them a week. Although I learned that this is one of those projects that you have to be careful when you put it down to mark exactly where you are in the pattern. So I was in this gray section, so the second to last color, and I put it down, and I've been using like that Post-it note tape, that highlighter tape, to mark which instruction I was on, but I didn't do that, and I looked and I was like, well, I can kind of figure out like how many rows I've done, so I think I know where I am. And I must have spent, and I'm not even exaggerating, I think it was like 2 hours or 2.5 hours knitting. The stitch count would be kind of off, and then I would just like add a stitch to try to make up for it on the front end. So the stitch count between here and the marker, the sort of border was off, and I was like, oh, I must have just miscounted, and I'll add a stitch, and it was kind of lining up in terms of like I thought the pattern was making sense relative to the design. Then I would get to the end and something just didn't feel right, and I was like, okay, let me like tink it back. Maybe I was on the next right side row, and so I went back, redid it, and I was like, yeah, that one doesn't feel right either. And I must have reknit that one row like 3 times, tinked it back, before I realized that I was following the pattern instructions for the main color section. So the pattern's divided between the main color section and the contrast color section. I had been following the pattern for the main color section, even though I was knitting a contrast color section. So without breaking anything in the room, I was like, okay, now I figured it out. I'll tink it back. And then in that tinking back, the last pass, I somehow dropped some stitches and in the lace section, and things were unraveling, and so I ended up having to like tink back two more rows to get back to a point where the stitch count was right. I knew where I was, and then I could proceed. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you know what you're supposed to do. So why not do it? Like, it's like swatching. Like, you're supposed to swatch. And then when you don't do it and you fail, you were, we never learn these lessons. But I'm happy with the way it's turning out, and I'm excited to get through the last 2 colors and then kind of see it starting going the reverse order, because it has been, once you kind of get the pattern and mark where you are in the pattern when you stop, it has been kind of a fun pattern, because I haven't done a lot of lace, and so this is a relatively straightforward lace pattern, so it's kind of a good kind of confidence builder in that regard. So that's it in terms of whips and FOs. I said I was going to keep it short, and I think we're going to finally be able to keep our promises. So no new starts. So I think the only other thing that I have going on, other than the Theo blanket, I have a shawl that was part of the self-indulgent knit-along cast-on that I do not see myself finishing. I'm probably about halfway through it, but I don't see myself finishing it before whenever the equinox is. And then I have my basic blue, boring as cardigan that I have been sitting with the right panel basically done up until I have to start shaping. And again, with the garments, I just sort of like have held off getting started. I have it all set up ready to go, but it's just one of those things, like I feel like I need like a couple of hours just to get going on that process to feel comfortable enough to be able to like either take it somewhere with me or to do it in front of the TV, because it's, involves counting and decreasing. And but then it's from there, it's just Sleeve Island, and I think I'm going to try to do the sleeves 2 at a time. And hopefully within the next couple months get that thing put to bed and pieced together and done. And then I think I can work on some other garments that, one, either for me are short sleeves, so they're going to be faster, or the one I'm going to work on for my mom is long sleeved, but I think that it's also DK weight, so it's going to go a little bit faster. And I think it has, I have to check, but I think it has some texture, something of interest. It's not just stockinette like this cardigan has been. So, but that's it. That's all that are on the needle. So if I get a couple of these things wrapped up, then we can start looking ahead to the next projects. Otherwise, not much else going on. I told you what we've been sort of watching. Oscars are coming up this Sunday. We have only seen a few of those. We did see I really enjoyed the Brazilian film that's up for Best Picture this year, The Secret Agent. I thought that was a lot of fun. And we've already figured out how to watch the Oscars, so we're going to do that on Sunday. And I think that's about it. So thank you for taking some time out of your week to spend it with me. Drop a comment down below. I love to hear from everyone all the time. Use Sparkle in your comments if you want to be entered into this episode's giveaway. And I will probably see you sometime in the beginning week or so of April. Take care, enjoy yourself, have a lot of fun making and taking care of each other. Take care. Bye.